Good morning and welcome to this edition of Slow Money Blues. My name is Doug, retired U.S. Marine and two-time combat veteran turned entrepreneur at your service. Today's episode is I'm thinking it's fixed income. And we're going to have another dynamic show. I'm super excited to be bringing this to you. Hey, by the way, just some housekeeping stuff right here. So last week I told you that I would be last week I said that I was going to be updating the website and stuff like that. My team and I, we've been working very, very diligently. We have it updated. It's great. We'll be making more changes. But listen, I'm not one of those people that wait for perfection as opposed to launching something. So I'm super excited about that. So once again, if you have any questions, visit slowmoneyblues.com and click on ask or submit your question on IG, Facebook, or Twitter using hashtag slowmoneyblues. And you will be able to see the site. It's really, really easy when you go to the first page. We did some amazing things. And we'll probably do a video of that so you can actually do it. But hey, to check it out, just simply go to slowmoneyblues.com and click on and see the new redesign and stuff like that. Also, scroll all the way down to the bottom. If you get to the bottom, and I'm certain you will, you'll see contests and you'll see like giveaways. Go ahead and do that now because we're running an amazing contest starting like last week. We started the contest and we're doing our social media bundle giveaway. So click on, if you want to know anything about that, just go to slowmoneyblues.com/win and you can participate in all of our great contests. It's going to be three winners from that particular contest. So I'm super duper stoked about that. And what are we going to be talking about today? That is a great question. 4 ways to fix your income forever. But this is the question. Did you do your homework? I listened to another podcast and I found out that, homework is something that a lot of people don't like to do. Pardon me, because I'm a little parched. And, when I was growing up as a kid, sometimes I didn't like to do the homework for, when it wasn't my favorite subject. But when it was a great subject that I love, like I really love math. Maybe which is why I'm a, freedom evangelist entrepreneur. I really love math. And so I would always do my math homework. I was like, all the rest of the stuff like English and science and history, I was like, boo for all that stuff. But I really, really, really love math. And I always did my math homework. In this instance right here, the reason why I'm imploring you and asking you to do your homework every week, which is really simple now, is just look at, next week's episode. So if you're tuning in right now, you're actually doing your homework. And the reason that you want to tune in and do this type of homework, because this homework that you do, it will actually help you build, launch, and grow your own personal freedom success system and get the freedom that you have been longing for. Now, with all of that, it's time to say our morning mantra. I state your full name, take 100% responsibility and accountability for my life and actions. I refuse to blame others. If I do, I give away all of my power, authority, and power given to me by God. Oh my goodness. I get so excited each time I say that. As I told you, because we changed our website up, we actually changed how we're going to be talking about our sponsors. So if you want to learn anything about all of our phenomenal and great sponsors, visit slowmoneyblues.com/sponsors. You'll see some of the same ones that we currently have right now. Linky.com, BigNetDomain.com, Funds.com, and so many more are coming, and I'm super stoked about that. Also, the manner in which we do polls. Now you simply go to slowmoneyblues.com/polls, and the poll question for the day is, do you live on a fixed income? According to a recent report, more than 50% of all U.S. households are living paycheck to paycheck. It's astonishing considering unemployment is at historical lows and America boasts the largest economy on the planet, right? Let's get personal. If your family is part of that 50%, it means your income is broke and you're struggling to pay the rent, put food on the table, and go on an amazing, phenomenal vacation, which means your income needs to be fixed. Now, the question is it possible? Well, it depends on one thing, and that is YOU. Let's hop into the show. 4 ways to fix your income forever. I like to talk about real life scenarios because it's really, really amazing. A big shout out to my man Craig and uh, Franklin. I met these two gentlemen this past week, and I'm going to be having a service performed on my home. And thanks to them, it's not going to cost me a single dime, but just a little bit of time. So I want to shout you guys out for that. But as I begin to dialogue with these two gentlemen, I asked them the question that I ask most people, and this is point number one on 4 ways to fix your income forever. Determine your annual number. And if you don't determine your annual number, and I'm going to always talk about numbers, I said just recently, one of my favorite subjects in school was math, so I'm always excited about and love to talk about numbers. But we need to talk about determining your annual number. And what I mean by that is this. How much money would you like to make? Last week, I donated blood, and I had an opportunity to talk to a lot of people there while donating blood. I talked to everybody. Everybody I talked to, I talked about this thing called money and freedom. And one of the persons that I talked to, they were in cyber, and I said, and I told her how long I had been, financially independent and free, and she was like, well, I really haven't determined, how much money I need to make because I want to do a lot of traveling. And I was like, well, that's very important. I think that you should determine what your annual number is. And I got the feeling that she just didn't want to do the hard work. And what I've discovered is that most people want this elusive thing called freedom, and they may even know their number, but most people don't know their number, and most people don't want to do the hard work, but they expect to get some results. Now, listen, there's 365 days in a calendar year, 366 days in a leap year. I'm looking at my monthly calendar, which I need to update as soon as this episode is over. I'm going to update it. That little calendar keeps me on track when it comes to projects and product launchings and things of that nature. And what it does is really like my freedom roadmap. I can't make this up. I wish I could, but I can't. And I have determined my number. Well, because I've already achieved this elusive thing called financial independence, right? Like I don't have to work for any money. I have to do nothing. I do this podcast surely for the love and joy of empowering other people, right? To get this thing called freedom, because why be free all by yourself, right? It's not a lot of fun. And that little calendar over there, it's my roadmap to freedom. But because I've achieved this thing already, I just said, you know what? I had a little thing up there. I said, 2x your investment income. 2x your investment income every year. If you 2x your investment income every year, chances are, you're gonna be doing really, really well in about 2 or 3 years. If you just do it for 1 year, you're gonna be doing better than you're doing right now, which is why you always need to do your homework. But determine your annual number. So we know there's 365 days in a year. Let me take you back to those conversations that I had with those two gentlemen, Craig and Franklin. And he was like, I want to make $10 million a year. Another guy was like, I want to make $500,000 a year. I said, okay, not a big deal. I said, divide that by 365 and then divide that by 24. That tells you what you have to make every hour of every day if you want to make that type of money on an annual basis. It's really simple. So I just given you the formula. There's 365 days. Divide whatever your annual number is by 365 and then divide that number by 24. And guess what? Boom! You know exactly how much you need to make every hour of every day to live the lifestyle that you desire and want to live. That's point number one. Point number two, in fixing your income forever, find a problem. Do you realize that under the Biden administration, he has forgiven probably historical amounts of student loan debt? And so a lot of people invested in themselves, and they were paying for years and years and years, and because the rules and the policies that changed, those people, although I think the rule was like you paid for 10 years and it'll be forgiven, and it depended on what your work status was and who you work for, it was confusing. So the Biden administration came in and said, you know what? Boom! What we're going to do is we're going to simplify that process, and if you've already been paying for more than 10 years, and because of our mistake, we're going to go ahead and forgive your college student loan debt. That was a massive, massive problem. I can assure you that most people that got their student loan debt forgiven will be voting for old Joe in 2024. But that's not your problem. But this is the deal. There are a lot of people that have problems out there. They have small problems. They have in between problems. They have big problems. And the thing is, if you want to fix your income forever, you just have to find a problem. And you simply do that just by talking to people. In fact, sometimes a problem comes to you and you just don't know how to monetize the problem. For example, a neighbor or a coworker or a colleague may say, "Hey, Bob, hey, Joe, hey, Ann, I need you to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z," or "How do you do A, B, C, X, Y, Z outside of your professional environment?" And you, because the minute somebody says they have a problem, your brain goes into solution solving mode. You say, "Hey, I know where you get the answer for that." And then you tell them, "But I'm going to help you answer questions when presented with another human being's problem." When they say, "Hey, Ann, Joe, or Bob, I have a problem. Can you help me?" You're going to say, "Absolutely, I can help you." And then this is what you're going to say: "What is your budget?" They're going to look at you and say, "Well, what do you mean? What is your budget like? How much are you willing to pay me to solve your problem?" Now, they may not have ever thought about it like that, but when you present it to them like that, they're going to say, "Hey, I didn't think about it, but now that you just told me, I got $50. You say, "Okay, well, what is your problem?" And then they tell you the problem. And then, based on your level of effort, your expertise, and how long it's going to take to rectify the problem, $50 might be enough. $50 might be too little. My point being is that if you, as a human being, solve another human being's problem, guess what? It is your right. It is your God-given right to be compensated for your time, talent, training, expertise, energy, and education. Don't forget that. Point number 3. So, going back to the previous scenario, you found a solution. This is what I know. And the reason that information sells better than oil and gas and crypto and any other thing you can think of is because many times the only thing people need is the information, and they can do the rest of the work. For example, someone might want to know how to build a home, and they say, "Where do I begin?" Well, you might want to start with a great general contractor. And they might say, "Well, hey, who is this great general contractor?" Now, if you're smart, you say, "I would love to be able to help you, but he only works with people like this, and I don't know. But for a small fee, I can certainly pass this information along to you." Sounds very simple, right? It sounds really simple. But if I told you that every person that has ever worked for someone, that's exactly what you're doing. You're solving a problem for your employer. If you are a 1099 and you're a contractor, you're solving a problem for a company or for an individual. And because you're solving that problem, you're saying, "Hey, you know what? I should be compensated." So find a solution. I don't care if someone came to me and say, "Hey, Doug, I need a spaceship." You know what I'm going to say? I might be able to help you, but can I ask you 2 questions? And again, what are those 2 questions? 1, how significant is your budget? And 2, when do you need it? And then guess what? I promise you, based on how they answer those questions, it'll determine if I'm going to work with them or not. And that's exactly how I conduct business. Now, so determine your annual number, find a problem, then find a solution, and then point number 4, which I typically never do point number 4, but I have to do point number 4. Find an audience. See, this is what I have discovered in my short time on this earth. I have discovered that some of the same problems I have, my fellow human beings have those same problems. For example, every human being that I've run into and that I've spoken with, broken bread with, fellowship with, had coffee with, I have discovered that all of them, and I mean to a man, to a woman, to a boy, to a girl, they want to be free. Which is why the only thing that I talk about is freedom. So my audience is everyone, because I am a freedom evangelist. And there are so many ways to get freedom. And so find an audience for your particular product or service. And then say, "Hey, you know what? I found this little thing called freedom. Would you like to have some? And most people's like, yeah. And I'll be like, what are you willing to pay me to teach you how to get freedom? And then thus, everybody wins. And it's amazing, isn't it? Okay. So what are our major takeaways today? That is a great question. Fixing a lot of problems will permanently fix your income. I have to say that again. Fixing a lot of problems will permanently fix your income. Here is something that's very small, but very significant. So way back in the day, before there was fire, somebody figured out how to start a fire, right? Which also created two things. It created light and it also created heat, solved two problems. Then, as we became a more sophisticated and a more developed society, someone said, now that we have all these awesome buildings, we want them to be heated and we want them to have light, but we want them to be heated and light when we want them to. We just want to flick a switch on and we want to have the air come on or the heat come on and we want the lights to come on. Man, that is pretty phenomenal, right? Well, somebody did it. And guess what? The somebodies that did it are still winning, because if I told you that every building wants to have heat and cool and wants to have light, would you believe me? It's true. They all need to be heated, they all need to be cooled, and they all need to have a source of light. Maybe that could be you. I don't know. So, what is the homework for next week? Well, it's quite simple. Tune in to our episode. Next week, let me see if I have my notes up. We're going to be talking about lit. You do not want to miss this episode. I want you to tell everybody that you know to tune in for sure. As always, continue to build, launch, and grow your own very personal freedom success system. And I won't see you at the top, but I will see you where? Over the top. Have an amazing rest of your week.